Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lung Pamai and today I'm going to share with you examples and source code on how to create a timer, a clock, idle timer with a countdown for your project, workbook, or user interface, and also on how to schedule the procedure to run on a specific time in the future or in a certain frequency. For example, if you want to run it for every 30 minutes. I'll also provide a detailed walkthrough and also point you to areas to focus on in order to replicate these features for yourself. Okay, the project and source code will be made available for free download and for use. One small request from you is to support my channel. Please do subscribe, like, and comment to improve the algorithms for the channel. Thank you. Before we start looking at the code, let me give a quick demo. This is Excel template at the moment, but this can be replicated for any other Office applications. As you know, VBA is available for all the applications. Okay, so the first will be the timer. If you want to have the milliseconds, you can replicate this for yourself. So if you click here, this is an example of like a timer with milliseconds. So I'm going to stop this, and this one is for the clock with like 24 hours format and as well as AM and PM. So if you click here, it's like ticks every seconds. Yeah, so I'm going to stop this as well. And the third one is the UI countdown. So for example, let's say that you have an interface where like which connects to servers or does certain connection, and you want that if the form is not used for a while, you want to like close it. So this will be example for that. So for example, now I'm performing a certain activity. As soon as it's idle for like for 10 seconds, it's gonna start a countdown here. Okay, so let me just do a 10 seconds from now. So just give it a moment. The like once the mouse movement or like it basically the Windows API gets the last input, as well as with the tick it'll automatically track when was the last like movement. So as you can see down here, there is a countdown that the form will close in like 5-4 seconds. Yeah, so as soon as you move your mouse, it will like reset the time. That is one thing. That is one example. Similarly, if you want to have this countdown for your workbook as well, you can follow this example. So I've just clicked on this. So it has just started the timer. So in 10 seconds, it's gonna like pop up a user form telling the user that the workbook is gonna close in 10 seconds, for example. So let's just give it a second more. Yeah, so closing workbook in 7 seconds. So this is also in the exact same code. You can replicate this for the UI or for any other thing. The last thing will be if you want to schedule the code to run at a specific interval. This one will be to run at a specific time and a date. You can also specify without the date as well, but this one is an example with the date and time. So if you want the code to run, for example, I'll just put in the time. So I'll just get rid of this time, date and time. So I'll have this run at 8 p.m. Okay, so I'm gonna have this macro one run. I'm gonna schedule it. So at 8 which is now, so it just executed that. Okay, so similarly, this is pretty much the same example. So I'll have this run at 8.3, the code called import data. So it will basically like pop up a message box just to confirm that the code has been executed, but this can be replicated for any of your processes. Okay, so just a few more seconds and it should pop up a message box to confirm that the code has been executed. Give it a moment. Yep, so it ran. Okay, so that's pretty much on the, like some of the features I want to show here. Let's now go into the code. I'll quickly walk you through, and then this should be a small piece of code which you can easily replicate for any of your process. For example, here I'm just showing you to run at a specific time, but you can replicate some of the code that we're using here, because this takes every 1 second. So there are, like ways to manipulate this to serve, like and customize for your requirement. So first, going into, so as you right click on the code and go to the code, you'll be able to see the code. So basically the first one is the timer. In the timer, basically what I'm doing here is, um, there is this sleep API Windows function. Okay, here it keeps looping on till the time we exit from the code, and then, well, it's gonna basically loop 3000 times. Okay, because the counter here is set that, okay, if the counter is greater than or equal to this, then exits up. Okay, otherwise it will keep continuing. So in the process, while it runs, basically it writes, first it writes the time in this format, hour, minute, and seconds, and then it gets a timer. So for the timer, it basically, so if I do this timer, it gives us this, right? Um, at that point of time, and then it takes the right, just basically two of them, two, like two particular characters or numbers from, like whatever the timer returns. Okay, and then it just do events just to make sure it reflects, it prints the screen, and you're able to see the milliseconds, and then it sleeps. So here's the sleep, basically, like you can kind of sleep it for X number of milliseconds. So here 50 represents 0.05 seconds. If you want to do the milliseconds to be even, like more than this, then you can do it in, like sleep for 10. Okay, so you can replicate that. And then the way to stop it is, basically here, what I've done here is, if you go into this code, basically it just, not this one, sorry, this one. If you get in here, it's basically just set the X count to 0. So if you set the X count to 0 while this is running, basically what it's going to do is it's going to exit, because this is going to be 0. So if K, which is already looping more than 1, right? If it is greater than or equal to 0, it's going to exit sub. So that's the way to just exit from this timer. Yeah. So once again, if I click here, it just keeps looping. Yeah, till the time it's false, which is 3000. So for your purpose, you can increase this as per your requirement. Okay, so for demo, I've just set this to 3000 at the moment. Um, Now coming to the clock part. This is very simple piece of code. Again, if you go in here, start and stop. Um, this is just the formatting. The second part is just the formatting. Um, if you go here and click here, this is just equal to this cell. Yeah, so the code is setting a value here. Now looking at the code, this is clock underscore start and then clock underscore stop. So here we are just using the on time method. So the on time method, basically, like you can use this to schedule a procedure to run at a specific time. The parameters are the time, the procedure, the latest time, and then you want to schedule. So here are basically the arguments with their purpose, but it's very simple. Here we're just saying that, okay, run this code at this time, and this is the code we want to run. Okay. Here, for example, okay. Here, basically, we need to main two arguments, parameters. So next tick, I want the next tick to happen at now plus 1 second. Okay, so I want to run the code every 1 second, basically. And then setting the value of the time, like hour, minute, and seconds in this cell, which is B8. Yeah, and it's gonna run this same code. Yeah, this is the code I specified to run. So it's going to just call itself at this time, which is next tick time is 1 second from the time it ran. Okay, so that's how it's like ticking every second. Okay, so run again. Yeah, like this. So the stop, basically, again, if you right click, just do in this fashion to track the code. So if you look here, in order to like cancel what has been scheduled is you can get a tick. So next tick, I've already declared this as a public variable so that we can cancel if we have to cancel the whatever has been like set to run. So here next tick, I'm saying that whatever time is scheduled to run at next tick time for this process, we want to schedule it to false. Okay, so this is the way to stop the clock. Otherwise, it will keep ticking. Okay, and if you're not able to stop, you might have to restart your Excel. So just keep watch for that. And again, if you want to what is that? If you want to run a code while the time is still running, while the time is running, it's okay. Like it can run simultaneously. It will pause the clock and then it will run the other code as well. So that part is fine. So while we're talking about on time, this method is exactly set up in the same fashion. So if you go here to schedule, here we basically here for this for the clock we are having it to rerun the same clock, same procedure again and again. So for example, here we are rerunning the code every seconds, right? But for this one, we are just saying, okay, uh, run this code for this time. So whatever time is specified here, which is D4, we're saying for the time specified in D4, run this particular process, which is in F4. This one, yeah. So similarly for the second one as well. Okay, so if you already scheduled it and you want to cancel it, then you will run this particular one. I did not have a cancel button here, but you can simply replicate in this fashion as well. Let me just do this. And then I'll call this cancel. I'll just do the Control D after selecting. Hold on the Control key because the code will start running if you do not. So to cancel, I'll copy the code to cancel. I'll paste it here. Okay, and this one as well. I already had this set up a while ago, so I'm not walking through each and every code, but pretty much these are self-explanatory. Yeah. Okay, so run this code to cancel it. Now it errors because there is nothing to run. So for that, we can just say on error, on error, resume next. Okay. Similarly, for this as well. That should be it. So similarly, like for this one and this one. So when the first code is scheduled, it runs whatever code it has been specified here. Okay. So yeah, that will be pretty much for this one. We'll talk about this now. So first for the UI, if you go here and assign, it basically shows the user form in like this zero mode. All these are from our prior episodes, so just ignore that. It's basically for a right-click menu. When you right-click on the text box, it will show you a menu. Okay, so going back here, as you can see, the UI demo and workbook demo is, I'll just walk through one of them, and the second one is exactly the same. Okay, so for the UI countdown, basically what I've done here is when you click here and assign, it's going to show up the interface. So the tracking starts at that particular point of time. So at the initialize, I've put in this code start track main. If you find this code, basically here, what it is doing is here we have two Windows API. One is to get the tick count and the last input from the user, who is the current user. And then basically that will give us how many seconds, as you can see here, how many seconds the computer has been idle. So the countdown can start based on your requirement. So here the first track main, again, it sets up the the main counter, and then it says the countdown timer from where you want to start. Okay, so here 11, I've set it 11, but while it runs, it's gonna do a -1 here, so it's gonna count down from 10 seconds. So if you want to be 30 seconds, you put here 31, for example. The earliest time, the same method we're using on time, and then this is the time we want to run, and then this is the processor that we want to run, which is this one. Okay, so basically every 11 seconds is going to check if the computer is idle. So every time when it runs, when it is 11 seconds, it will run this from the time it has been called. Yeah, when it calls that, it comes down here, and then it will first check if the idle time is greater than or equal to total ticks before countdown. So total ticks before countdown is set to 11. So if you want to allow the countdown, I mean the timer to start the countdown, if the system has been idle for 60 seconds, then this is where you will go and update. Okay. Um, and then here, if the idle time is greater than whatever you have specified, the countdown is basically going to start here. Okay, countdown time is this, and then every 1 second, as you can see here, then the countdown is equal to countdown -1, and then this basically is just printing for debug purpose. And then UI, this label caption, we're saying, okay, closing the form in this many seconds, and then it do events basically to ensure that it repaints the user form and reflect whatever has been changed in the caption. And then if the countdown is lesser than or equal is lesser than 1, which is basically 0, is going to reset and unload the user form, which is this one, UI1. Else is gonna else is gonna run this part. It's gonna run this countdown or whatever time has been created here. Okay, so it will keep rerunning till the time if you move your cursor, then it's going to reset itself. And then coming down here, if it is not, it's going to reset. Reset is basically it cancels the prior time, and then it will call the main one again, which is this. So let's say that the countdown is happening and you move your cursor, or there is another process, it's not idle anymore, it's going to reset and start the tracking purpose again. But then if it does not restart again, as you can see here, if the countdown is lesser than 1, which is 0, it's going to reset the process and then unload, and then it will stop the tracking purpose as well. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Again, if you want the countdown to be, this is for the countdown. So if you want the countdown to be every 5 seconds, this is where you'll come and change it to 5. If at the moment it will count down every second. Okay, so this is how I've done it. So lastly, this is for total ticks before the countdown will start. Yeah, the name itself suggests. And then this is when do you want to start tracking? When do you want to check the form is idle or the computer is idle? Like this is where you will come and update. So if you put this to 30 here, for example, every 30 seconds it will check if it is idle, and then it will try and run this code. And if it is idle for more than that, it's gonna start a countdown. Okay, so I'm gonna run this code now again, and then we'll see. So I've clicked on it. Here's the menu I was talking about. So yeah, from now I'm gonna just stop doing anything. I've moved away my hands, so it will start the timer, the countdown soon. So just give it a moment. Yeah, so you can see down there in the form is closing the form in 7 seconds. Okay, so very quickly, for the workbook, it is pretty much the same. The only thing is like the naming and everything is same. I've just suffixed like _WB for workbook, and the form for that is this one. It loads up this form. This is dummy text. If you want to track, for example, if you want to use this in your project, you will have to put this in this workbook open event so that it runs as soon as the workbook is open, and it tracks, if the workbook has been idle or if the computer has been idle for a while, then you might want to save and close it. The main difference here is this part where it says it shows, sorry, it starts the process here, and then this is for the countdown part. Now, if the form is not open, it will open the form and then it will print, like closing the workbook. At this time, here is where the user form is going to close after the countdown. For example, if you want to save the workbook, um, close, and all this will come here. All the, like pre-closing the workbook will be done here. So I've not included that part. You can customize it in the way you want, but this is where the code will go before, you can close the workbook. Okay, so I'll just give one more demo and then we will be done with it. And so it has already started. I've moved away my hand from the mouse. Yep, and guys, please do not forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment and share as well. It will help the channel grow more. Okay, so the timer, the countdown has started. Okay, so that will be pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave the link in the video description where you can download this file and the code and replicate it for yourself. All right, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.